Hello everybody, welcome back to the Nibiru channel. It is February 15th, 2017, and I'm just hearing reports that there is a very large Russian warship or a spy ship that was approximately 70 miles off the coast of New York, and yesterday the report was they may have fired a cruise missile which was mistakenly identified from some people as a very slow-moving meteor. The estimated speed of the so-called meteor was just a little over 1,200 miles per hour, and we know that meteors don't move that slow. However, that may coincide with the speed of a cruise missile. Now, I was just listening to a Fox News update on this story, and apparently now the Russian warship has actually moved closer to the United States border near the state of Connecticut. What in the hell is going on? Let's take a listen to this Fox News report, because at this point in time, this is basically like one of those, wow, what is going on? This is the headline: Russian spy ship spotted closer to the U.S. near Navy submarine base. So let's take a listen, see what they have to say. I know this feed's going to take a few minutes to load, but just hang tight. I was having some issues with this earlier on Fox News. I think a lot of people are trying to access this, and about 15 minutes ago, this was a live feed. So let's see what they have to say.
All right, we've got a Fox News alert right now. You're not going to believe this series of events. First, Russian aggression on the rise. You got a spy ship. It launched just cruise is also a cruise missile is also secretly deployed, which is in violation of another agreement. That's a Cold War era arms control treaty with a nuclear warhead.
This is Russia's first provocation since the president took office. So how worried should we be?
Kurt Lippold was the U.S. Navy commanding officer of the USS Cole, and he joins us right now from our nation's capital. Good morning, Commander.
Good morning. Glad to be on.
Commander, let's also add this. They just buzzed our destroyer again with one of their fighter jets. What do you do from here? Number one, if you were the commanding of that destroyer, what would you do?
They are.
Well, I think what we're seeing is the Trump administration is being quietly challenged in many cases,
warplanes
not so
now
quietly, by the Russians, and learning that they are not quite the allies that
Soviet
they thought
warships
they were.
involved.
You now have very strong signals being sent. The deployment of the intelligence ship, that is a ship that, unlike the Soviet AGIs that used to patrol off our coast, this one is now specifically designed to collect intelligence. It's coming here to send a signal that, hey, we can forward deploy. The missile deployment is of great concern, not only to the United States, but especially NATO and Europe, because they're the ones that live with the employment of.
You know, I'm going to stop this right here. I don't understand how it is possible for a Russian spy ship that large to get that close to the United States border. I mean, what is going on? Now, I know, and I heard last week that we were moving troops close to the Russian border in several European countries. Now, the Russians have a warship, spy ship, whatever it is. Why is it off of the coast of the United States? Let's listen to more politics here.
That first and foremost. And when you look at all the other things they're doing, they're stirring up trouble.
Sure. All right, Commander, how should the president respond to this? What does he need to do?
First thing I think he does is the deployment of the missile is an operational matter. We go to the Russians, We call them out by the treaty. We tell them they're in violation. We do it in coordination with our NATO allies, and then we work with them to develop a response so that NATO and the United States, there is no daylight between us, and that we in fact show that it's going to be a solid front, and we begin to hold them accountable.
Well, that would be, refreshing given the fact that during the last administration, we didn't really stand up to Russia so much, did we?
Well, I think that there was a lot of concern about the ramifications. We weren't doing the groundwork necessary with some places like NATO to make sure that they were foursquare, solid behind us and us behind them.
Right.
We need to make sure that we do that in the future, because this is going to be a very dangerous deployment. We do not want to have a violation of a treaty, because that's a whole new ballgame now.
Keep in mind, Commander, as you know,
I'm going to stop it right there. So, big deal. They're worried about violating a treaty. Well, we have one of our biggest adversaries in the world parking a massive warship off the coast of the United States. Now, yesterday when I heard the opening of this story, the ship was about 70 miles, or excuse me, it was about 150 miles off the coast of New York City. Then it moved in closer to about 70 miles. That was the last report I had received. Now I'm hearing it's 30 miles off the coast of Connecticut. And these people are worried about violating a peace treaty? I mean, if you ask me, that is a direct act of war. What is going on? Things are getting totally out of control all over the world. And are they going to try and start some type of conflict as a cover-up? Folks, it's very, very possible. I'll leave a link to this news story. I'm sure you can just simply Google Russian spy ship off the coast of the U.S., and I'm sure a bunch of news articles will start to come up, because this is now making its way through YouTube, the internet, and mainstream media. So, folks, stay tuned. This looks like a hot story.